Yeah, it's so we know when people leave the meeting.
Just before we start, can I say how incredibly impressed I am with what you've set up here, Richard? This is fantastic.
Yeah,
it's really brilliant.
Yeah,
and we get everything. We've got everything here online. Everybody can see it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, okay. Welcome everybody in the chamber, and got a few online. Welcome, Davids, and is that Carol? Is that Carol online?
Yeah.
Yeah, and welcome, Carol. Have we got any apologies for absence?
Yeah, just Councillor Arnold.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Declarations of interest and relevant dispensations for any. Has anybody got any declarations of interest to make? No? Okay, thank you. Item 3 is public participation. Are there members of the public present that want to ask a question? No? Okay. Town Mayor's report for this month. I attended the 65th anniversary of Clee Saffron earlier this month with the High Sheriff and Councillor Carol Robinson. Met many of the staff and the residents there, had a bit of a tour of the building, and then coincidentally later in the month I was at the round judging the cake competition, which was great because I'm on a diet, but I also had the opportunity to, I had a tour of the building. I met many of the staff and the residents, and I have to say with both of those visits I was very impressed with what they're doing, the quality of the work they're doing, and learning about how they interact with the town, with Powys County Council, and with our local NHS. They're both big employers, and it's just useful to keep up to date with what's going on at both those places. So I was glad to do that. And of course we had the carnival, with which I judged the competitions, gave out the prizes, and I think I visited every stall there and spoke to everyone. The feedback exercise has already started. I think there are some lessons that we can learn for next year, assuming there is a next year. I hope there will be. And one of those is forward planning. I think we need to invest a little more time perhaps in planning these things more in advance than we currently do. That's nobody's fault at all. It's just the way it's happened. But perhaps next year we can front load some of the work more than we did. But thanks to everybody that took part in that, particularly to Kim and to Paul and the rest of our staff and the councillors who were there as well. Thank you all. I think it was a success. I'm going to say it was a success. Thank you. Right. Have we got Graham? I know is here. Graham, have you got an update for us on county council matters? Yes, sure.
Thank you, Chair. I had two items really that I was to discuss, but I know one is on your agenda for later, which is the Red Bank issue. So I'm happy to leave that for now. The other one was to talk to you about Welshpool High School and the post-16 reform paper that has been circulated. It's quite alarming to see that the recommendation that's going to come from Powys Council as a preferred option at the moment is that Welshpool High School will lose its sixth form as part of that. The school is obviously in turmoil about it. There are a couple of governors, not just Alison, probably on Nick, here tonight, I know, who will be aware of how serious the situation is regarded by the school. It's standing, I think, amongst everybody that post-16 education is in need of review. And that Powys, as Estin has intimated, is failing in its post-16 education. There have been, over the last 10 to 20 years, various attempts to change the way Powys deals with post-16 education. None of them have come to fruition or been adopted. And the situation is as it is at the moment. The situation as it stands is that if the recommendation goes ahead, there will be just 2 centres for post-16 education, one in Newtown and one in Brecon. The situation for Welshpool is that we have over 150 sixth form pupils at the moment, and Llanfyllin has close to 130, I think, at the moment, and the numbers for Welshpool are rising. We at Welshpool High School, I speak as a governor of the high school, and the local authority governor, feel that Welshpool should be the centre and not Newtown, where there are only 50 sixth forms at the moment. There's a feeling that the whole scheme is linked to an NPTC college, which has a base in Newtown and in Brecon, of course. So there's some mileage in that, obviously. But Welshpool and Llanfyllin staff and governors feel that their sixth formers will not go to Newtown. They feel that the majority of them, if not all, will drift over the border to either Shrewsbury or Oswestry, and I fully support that is what will happen. Speaking to sixth formers that have come and gone over the last 2 to 3 months, not one of them has intimated that they would have gone or will go to Newtown. So that's the situation. So as far as we see it from Welshpool perspective, this will be a loss of pupils over the border, and they will not come back into Powys to work and live. And to that matter, we certainly at the high school feel the suggestion is totally wrong. What I'm asking for is that you will give this serious consideration, and I hope would join in supporting the school in its bid to retain its sixth form. And I don't expect anybody to go into a long discussion about this evening, but I would like you to, as an authority, discuss it. I'm aware that some town and community councils in the south of the county, the very south, have already started to write to the county council with their observations that the decision is wrong, or the recommendation could be wrong. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on this, but apart from that, I think that's it, Chair.
Thank you, Graham. Thanks, Sally.
Just a quick one from you, Graham. Why have they suddenly decided that if Welshpool's got more pupils to move it? Why they've made that decision?
Well, they've obviously made a decision that post-16 education has to change. It's not successful at the moment,
Yes.
and it needs to change. One of the solutions that they've looked at, and seems to be the recommendation, is that Newtown and Brecon are the ideal sites.
But we're so rural, so it's not going to work, really, is it? You know, we've got kids that are quite rural, so it's going to be a costly thing to do anyway. That's just a bit mental, really. I don't like it.
Councillor Bailey.
So, thank you, Chairman. I'm just wondering, Graham, how do we do that? So as individual council or as the town council, and is there a timescale?
There is a timescale, and it's going out to consultation, and I'm assuming that the local authorities, such as community and town councils, will be consulted.
Yes, as far as what I've read, it's going to consultation in the autumn term. So I've already had a few emails from councillors about this, and my recommendation was that we responded to the consultation. But if others are doing in the south, then you can respond twice. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, you won't have to do it this evening because there's no resolution, no general.
Councillor Grantmeyer and then Councillor Reeves.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Graham. Quick question from me. Have the sixth form teachers and administrators from both Welshpool and Llanfyllin met in a public meeting to talk about, if needs be, consolidating their sixth forms, because obviously you mentioned the numbers, but also as someone who went to Llanfastyn and who now lives in Welshpool and has taught in Llanfairpwllgreinion schools, I know that pupils come from as far north of the county as is possible for Llanfastyn to get. They're not going to go to Newtown.
Yeah.
And then absolutely not. And I suspect that Newtown wouldn't have the similar levels of Welsh language provision that are needed. So there could be a challenge. Have the teachers met and in a public meeting? And if not, will they?
There hasn't been a public meeting, but I'm sure there will. I mean, as I'm sure there will be in Welshpool. There have been meetings, private meetings between the two schools.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you. Just sitting here and watching people nod as you are speaking, Graham. I can remember about 10 years ago at least, they tried this once before. Not for the first time, but you as a county councillor obviously support remaining, our children should remain in Welshpool. Have we got the support of the rest of our county councillors? There are 3 of you.
Well, I can't speak for Richard and Carol, obviously, but I know, you know, that's my view. I will, if this comes as a recommendation eventually, I would certainly oppose it.
Councillor Davis, then Councillor Chair.
Thank you. The response to what Ben said, this does not include the Welsh schools. It is only the English schools. The Welsh schools are going to be left alone. It's the English school or the English language schools that will move. So it would be Llanfastyn and Welshpool that would be expected to close the sixth forms. The other thing is that there is a meeting for staff and a meeting for governors, but they're not starting the public consultation until September. But one of the issues is evidently, according to Welsh Government, you have to be able to offer 30 subjects. And of course, if you've only got a sixth form of 50 pupils, you can't offer 30 subjects. They have tried something called Chweched Powys, which has involved them doing remote lessons, and that has failed. And there is a requirement from Estyn and Welsh Government. The point is that I would suggest, I fully agree with what's being said, and obviously I want to keep the sixth form, but I think we need to, and I think there is a receptiveness to sensible ideas to do it differently. You know, it's no point in just saying, no, we've got to come up with something else, because what we do know is that the status quo is not providing the pupils with enough. So we need to do 2 things. One is think about, one is to say, no, we've got a growing and thriving sixth form, and this is how this could work. And we know it does in other parts of the world. Not everybody has, you know, 700 pupils within a mile and a half, do they? You know, so for a sixth form. So we know there are other places where it works. So we need to look at what else is out there and put forward options as well. I feel strongly, not just say no. Kicking the can down the road and retaining our sixth form and the others still doesn't resolve the issue of them being unacceptable. So we need to do both. And I would also say that my granddaughter was in the sixth form last year in Welshpool, the last 2 years in Welshpool. She's done very well there. She got a first place at university. It does work, but it's not working well enough for everybody. And that's the point.
Thank you, Alison. Richard, did you want to do?
Yeah, I'm not going to express a view on it. I know I've been challenged to by Estelle, but I shouldn't express a view because I'm on the cabinet, because ultimately will take this decision, and therefore I shouldn't prejudice my opinion. But I will make a couple of points. Firstly, this isn't about if sixth form college is in Newtown, it won't be at Newtown School. We're not talking about accommodating sixth formers at Newtown School. And equally, if it came here to Welshpool, it wouldn't necessarily be at Welshpool High School. Talking about sixth form colleges as separate and freestanding institutions. We are at the moment shedding pupils in huge numbers to Shrewsbury, or Montgomeryshire was shedding them to Shrewsbury. In Brecon and in Radnorshire, we're shedding them to Hereford in huge numbers. Hereford College has, did I hear, 8,000 students or some crazy number, a very high portion of them coming from Powers. And as has been said, the results that are being delivered in Powers are frankly not good enough. We're not providing children, young people, with the opportunities that they need. So we have to do it better. I think many of the points that Alison said are very sensible, but I won't express, as I say, a firm view one way or the other on it until after the consultation has been completed.
Okay, thank you. Bill.
Chairman, I have to take exception. I have to take exception to one of our county councillors who said that, well, because I'm on the cabinet, it's not good. I can't tell you what my opinion is. Sorry, that's we're entitled to know what our county councillors are going to do. This is a scandal as far as I'm concerned. When you look at Welshpool, right? Welshpool, we've lost Mayor Malvin. What did they do? Because they were trying to save money. They bought Ladywell House in Newtown, twice the money, right? We've lost Mayor Malvin, we've lost everything. They've taken off the school and they've locked the doors so nobody can go and visit the housing department or anything else, right? They've taken the library and now locked the doors so nobody can go in the library. All these problems were made, right? And nothing has happened about any of the promises. And I look to our county councillors to put things right.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, the situation here is absolutely abysmal. And they have a bloody cheek, and they can take it from me. They have a bloody cheek to even consider something like this when the numbers say this is where it ought to be located, not up there.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Look at if it's a school site, just look at the thing. If there's a school site here and up in Newtown, where's the safer road and safer route to get into a school? Here, 10 times better than Newtown. Going across the Dover Road and this and the other up in Newtown.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons that they make the wrong decision. I'll tell you why. Because they don't give a damn about Welshpool, none of them.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Yes, we don't want to get into a debate. I can understand why Richard wouldn't want to predetermine what may or may not be decided at county council level. No, I think what he did was right. I, though, are quite happy to express a view. I think this school, I mean, let's look at it. It is the worst funded school in Paris. I think it's the second worst funded school in the whole of Wales. I, as my position as trustee on Friends of Welshpool High School, I work with a lot of those sixth formers, or have done. And they're an excellent bunch of kids. If education or sixth form education in this county is failing, it is not the fault of the schools. Let's have some more funding for our schools, I say, and you know, that's anyway. I think we better move on. Sorry,
David.
oh, sorry, David, online.
Yes, I won't be too long-winded then, but just a question. Do we feel like, and maybe looking at some of the governors here, that there would be interest, that there would be a need for a public meeting in order to get, you know, some ideas generated as to what can be done, as Councillor Davies has said, that though we seem to be in some agreement that the plans that have been mooted might not work for our rural county, and certainly not for Welshpool itself.
I think I'm probably much the same as David's just said, that this sounds to me like a very urban solution to a situation that does need some change, but we need to look very hard at what would work in a rural setting like this one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you all. No doubt we will be,
Sorry, just a really, really quick.
just quickly then, Sam.
What about public transport? Well, if that does happen, will Powys actually say, right, we'll provide transport? Because there's gonna be an added cost to getting to these places, but, and obviously people are struggling as it is. So what will Powys do to rectify that situation?
That hasn't been made clear yet.
But we need to put something forward that if that does happen, then the kids have public transport and they're ferried to and from. Because they can't, if they're expected to go for higher education to Newtown from their hometown, surely that transport should be provided for. Just a quick question for me, really.
Well, 16 education transport is dealt differently, Richard, I think, isn't it, to.
Yeah, but something needs to be put in place if that is a recommendation.
All these things will be picked up
Yeah,
in
it's just,
consultation.
you know, you've got to think about.
Beyond, so it's a quick point, Phil.
Yeah, just a quick point, Chairman. I want to propose that before anything is sorted, that we hold a public meeting here in the town hall, free of charge, for all the people in Welshpool to come here and express their views. Because we're not only talking about kids at the school, we're talking about their parents and the service we give them and everything else. We're supposed to be representing the people in this town, and if we speak in favour of this, we must be nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yeah, so I agree.
So I'd like to move that we have a public meeting on the issue, sir.
Put on the, onto the agenda. Yeah, for a future meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can.
Yes, we can agenda it forward. It's not on the agenda. We can't have a resolution. So, but I agree with you, and we can do that if we forward it, put it on the agenda for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you, Graham.
There's so many people.
Thank you.
Well, Richard. Richard, did you have any other things you wanted to raise?
Yeah,
County Council?
just one other thing, and actually this is something which applies to all three county councillors. The county council has given £5,000 for each councillor to recommend for grants in their locality to deal with issues relating to tackling poverty. I'm currently in discussion with Gwen at the youth centre about an idea there, but there may be other ideas. And we have been encouraged to engage with our town council about it. So I'd be very interested in anybody who has any ideas on small grants. It could actually be, if the three of us county councillors combined our 5,000, it could be, as I say, it could be up to 15,000. But I would be interested in any ideas either formally from the town council or from councillors individually on projects that could be related to young people, elderly people, cost of living, anything like that. But I need to do it fairly quickly because the deadline is fairly tight. So really need some ideas by the end of July.
Okay, thank you, Rich. That's good and interesting. I think if everybody can give some consideration to that, and we can get back to the earliest opportunity. Okay.
I was just going to say, what food banks, Richard?
Well, yeah, I mean, we could give it to the food banks. I think that we would need to see what the food banks need is, obviously. But if I'd be happy to talk to our local food bank as well.
That's a good idea.
Thanks. Carol, did you have anything you wanted to add on county council matters?
Just to say what Richard's been saying, really. I mean, hopefully me and Richard can work together regarding this funding and let you know what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Carol. Right, moving on to the minutes of the last full council meeting, which of course was the annual meeting. That's at Appendix B in your papers, which I hope everybody's read. And if we're agreed, we can have, is there a proposal? Yes.
Just one correction to those minutes. It's in the section on committee and delegation. And in the verbal, it says that there was a vote on resolution B, which was defeated, and actually option C was
Yeah,
the option that was approved at that meeting, but in the minutes, it's reverted back to option B in the recommendation that follows that, and in the list of recommendations at the end, so that needs.
have it? So the option is option C.
Yeah, more I'm going to highlight this to you earlier, I erroneously put B instead of C, so it needs to amend it this evening from B to C.
Okay,
And it's just the resolution,
right. Councillor Ralph.
Yes, election of vice chair, I abstained. I did not vote for myself.
That's right, you did, yeah, okay,
We will amend.
we'll amend to reflect that, thank you. Are there any corrections or amendments? If not, is there a proposal to accept these as
amended.
as amended? Nick,
Proposal.
oh, good.
I'll
Seconded.
second.
Seconded by councillor Davis, thank you. So vote, all those in favour, please.
Hands up.
Hands up.
That's passed unanimously. So good. Matters arising, I don't think that, are there many matters arising?
Well, we made something like 47 resolutions.
We did,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a marathon meeting. Most have been completed, as you can see from the table.
Yeah.
The one on council allowances is still in progress because there are 3 members wishing to take their allowances. So I just need to work with the mechanism of getting the money to you. In progress, there's the bank mandate. Only because we were waiting for all of the chairman and vice chairman to be elected. Now they all have been, we can now progress ahead with the back mandate. Outside bodies is still in progress, and I will explain to you why. But the vast majority of the outside bodies have been notified of the new people. But TJ Evans Trust, the town clerk, was to explore the governing document. And weirdly enough, I picked up a lease of something and the document fell out of the lease. So I have reviewed it and it says mayor and 2 councillors elected for the term. So the mayor has to be on the trust as part of its governing document, and the 2 councillors are, I believe, councillor Pritchard and you, Estelle. In terms of the other ones, I haven't yet looked at the Powersland Club, so that one's still in progress. But lots on outside bodies. The other ones is the policies to be adopted. I want to send them out to staff and yourselves when they're fully adopted and explain the process around them. So they're just still waiting for that. Community awards are in progress. Of course, you'll all be aware that the date now is the 20th of July, next Sunday, and the community awards letters have now been sent to the winners of those awards, inviting them to the ceremony. So that's in progress. The resolution around the cricket club to the street seed is still in progress, of course, because the building hasn't been erected. The quotation for the fencing is still in progress, and the fencing has been booked in for in a couple of weeks' time, but of course still in progress until the fencing gets established. And the working group on fees and charges is in progress until it meets in the summer. And the day centre one is still in progress. I have progressed the recommendations as far as I can. I don't want to say it in public because it was done in private session, and we are pursuing the legal advice to make that happen.
Yeah, okay. I think one other thing, I think I'm right in saying that the chainsaw training has now been completed.
Yes, and they passed, all 3 of them passed, so
Yeah.
they've all got their tickets now.
Yeah, okay.
Sally.
Okay,
I don't think that you have to do anything, they're just for the information.
yeah, it's just for information.
All right.
Okay. Right, item 7 is committee membership.
Yeah, this was just if any councillor didn't put themselves on a committee they wanted to go on, or someone wanted to come off. I had a few requests for people to go on and come off, so this is on the agenda if you could formally do that. I believe Chris wanted to go onto Ops and Development, but Ops and Development is actually full. So I don't know how we get around that one.
I thought there was only 6, that's the whole reason I came in and requested.
I think you're right. It's because Billy won't do usually.
Yeah, Billy isn't here, but I believe actually Nick is on it. So it is 7 with Nick.
Yeah, you're on what's next. You're on what's next.
There's six now, though, isn't it?
No, it's
The next
actually
name,
seven.
Billy's gone.
No, no, it's 7 with Nick. Nick is erroneously missing from this list. So Nick is the 7th.
So that committee is full, is that all right, Chris?
That's fine,
Okay,
that's fine.
okay.
As long as I know it's,
Yeah, and then there was a request from, I think, Carol to come off events. And I'm sure she still wants to do that, so.
Carol, do you still want to be on events?
No, I'll stay on events at the moment. That's fine, thank you.
The other thing, of course, is that I'm not on any of them, but I presume I'm ex officio on all committees.
You don't count to the.
I don't count.
You are on. You are on.
Whichever.
Request go on to finance and governance as well, so. Happy to not.
So that committee is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That committee is full. And you're already on 2, Sal. So you
Yeah,
can
but
come
I
off
also said, how can you stop people from doing what they want to do?
because the council decided to set the
Well, that's just silly. How can I represent people? If I can't go on the committee?
I didn't say this.
No, that's just wrong.
And of course, we can't review that until 6 months.
Okay,
Unless it's
I'll wait 6
special
months.
motion.
No, I mean, all the work of the committees, and the committees, apart from one, don't have delegated powers, and all their recommendations come before full council, so you will have the opportunity to speak on any of those matters.
That's absolutely fine.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Can we just clarify the position with audit committee, because I know Estelle wanted to go on audit committee, but she's on finance committee. And previously we'd agreed that as long as the majority of members of audit committee were not on finance committee, then some members could be on both.
Yes, what we decided on this is slightly ambiguous. I think that it was generally agreed that it would be best for the majority of people that were on one, well, audit shouldn't have a majority of people who also sit on the finance committee for obvious reasons. That wasn't an absolute prohibition, save that the chair shouldn't be the same chair. I think that's.
Yeah, that prohibition was never carried into the new terms of reference. Actually, looking at the list, 4 members on that committee are actually on finance and governance. It's Alison, Estelle, Phil, and Richard. We're all on finance.
Estelle is on. I didn't see her name on the list. Who's on the list? That's all right.
Okay. I would recommend that whoever gets elected as chair then of audit isn't on finance committee, or chair of finance committee or vice chair. Just for the, or we can put the provision back in.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to item 8, which is events, and this is 8.1, events and planning committee, Appendix C. It's now chair.
I was just about to say that in the other item, Chair. So the chairs of events and planning is Councillor Chris Davis and Vice Chair is Sally, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong on any of these. The Chair of Operations Development is Councillor Pritchard, and I believe Sally, you're the Vice Chair of that as well. And Finance and Governance is Morag, and the Vice Chair is Duff. And audit and health and safety are yet to meet, so they're chairs.
Okay. So, Chris, do you want to take us through the?
I would love to if I could find it then.
Appendix C.
Yeah. Yeah. Meeting held on 4th of the 6th, 2025. I think most things were resolved, Chair.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the resolution.
There was something about the 40s weekend, which we decided to change and alter and ask for 50%, instead of giving it to them free. So that's going down as
Yeah,
a request.
All council approve that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say, the carnival was excellent. I think most people were down here. I'd like to thank Nick personally for shouting at everybody because that's what he was doing all day.
Yeah, he did a great job.
And it was really, really good. I thought it was very successful.
Yeah.
And finding mobile phones.
Yes, mobile phones, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Ah, yes. Okay, that's great. Anyway, the recommendations and the resolutions are all contained in the schedule to it, so there's no further comments. Are you proposing we accept? Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Thanks, Ben. In favour?
Hands up.
Hands up.
Thanks very much. Are you abstaining, Nick?
I'll abstain as I wasn't present.
Okay, thank you. So that's carried. Okay, operations and development, that's appendix D. Sorry, Ricky. Go, sorry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, only three simple ones. You've already heard the election of myself as chair, the election of Sally as vice chair. And the another resolution to accept the previous minutes. And that was the sum total of what we did in the meeting.
Yes, there's actually no recommendations for you to approve
No.
because they had the powers to resolve everything they did themselves.
That's right. Yes,
Could I ask, regarding the vandalism in the men's toilets and the CCTV footage was passed to the police? Can we have an update on what the police are going to do about this, please?
Yeah, as I mentioned at a previous meeting, we're trying to set up a regular monthly maybe meeting with the police, but as this is a specific incident, I think we do need to be kept updated maybe on what's.
I can tell you that we passed them the CCTV, they looked at it, and because the CCTV does not show the act of vandalism, it shows just outside the scope, I believe that they took no further.
Again. A second, it happens every time.
I will check exactly what they said and circulate to councillors. I've asked the operations manager to keep a log of all of the vandalism throughout the year and the cost to the public purse, so that we can publicise that at the end of the year.
Could I also, following on from that, suggest that Ben and Smart Towns may be able to look specifically at these vandalism issues, because whereas we can't have a CCTV camera filming people in the toilet, you can have motion sensors, we can have heat sensors, there are other ways that we can deal with this. And I think we have to invest in preventing it rather than invest in repairing things. The other thing is could we have, at the moment, the number for Meals on Wheels says 100. It would be helpful if we knew what were actually on wheels and what were actually through the haven, please, so we know how many meals are being delivered every week.
Okay, I'll come to a sec. We'll just to respond to your point on the CCTV. Councillor Pritchard and myself and others, I think, are looking maybe at the possibility of resurrecting our own CCTV cameras in the town, of which I think we once had 8 or 9.
I think there's about 9 left.
Yeah.
We used to have 16.
Yeah.
But we can't put cameras in the toilets.
No, of course not.
That's the point.
No,
That
this
we
is just.
So the footage of that incident in particular, I've seen it, and there's a group of them, and you can see the motion of punching.
Yeah.
And you can see who is doing the motion, but because you can't see what they're punching, the police will take over action because they need to see the crime in progress.
Of course, we could bring a private prosecution if we think we've identified these people and take a chance.
Maybe this is the one.
I mean, it would deter people.
Would.
Sally.
Just to come in on Alison's bit about Meals on Wheels, I would like to have a proper report done from Wendy she's lovely, but she does come in and just says everything's going well. I really want to see a good report from Meals on Wheels and
Proper break.
yeah, a breakdown, because bless her, she's lovely, but she just comes and goes, everything's going well. But a better report would be good.
That's fine, we can
Thank
make that
you.
happen for you, that's fine. The numbers I know have dropped slightly, due to, unfortunately, passing away of some of the people who use the service, and also, some of them have moved into now Malden, which has,
Yeah.
stolen our business,
Yes.
to put it nicely, but, yes, so numbers have dropped slightly, but I'll get ready to do a proper report on this.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you.
Councillor House and then Councillor Brown.
I just want to go back to the CCTV, which several of us looked at a couple of Thursdays ago, I think. And I think it's a great idea if we could resurrect it. I just wonder the logistics of doing it as to who would manage and how much would it cost. And if we submit CCTV footage to the police, I'm getting a little bit fed up with getting excuses for doing nothing, to be quite honest. This isn't the first time.
This is a matter we can raise with the police face to face
Yeah,
if we're going to have meetings with them. I think we have to not be too critical of them at this stage until we've had the
Can I
opportunity
just
perhaps
get so that when I was the mayor, I had more than one meeting and several other councillors were there with the then, I don't know if he's still the commissioner, still the same guy. And we had long extensive meetings on 2 or 3 occasions, and the outcome was they did nothing.
No, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, just to make the point that following your mention that you and the town clerk will be regularly meeting with the police, there was mention at that meeting of the regular meetings that have taken place in the past, and the police presence perhaps at some council meetings, and so we were, I think, decided at the meeting that we would look to that being the larger meeting.
Yeah, in the first couple of weeks when I started, I met the police and I said that I would like them to come and present to you quarterly, to present some statistics and actually take questions from you and things, and they were keen for that. So I will quickly get that in motion. Maybe we can get some sort of visual.
Okay, Councillor Pritchard.
I mean, it is a fair statement, I suppose, to say that when you can't have television cameras in the toilets. What you can do, you can have one right outside the door, and you can register who's going in and who's coming out. And that's the evidence the police look for at these things, huh? Because if they know who's gone in there, they can lug them in the station and have a border.
Yeah, but they could do, but I think the point that was made was that it records the incident itself, the fact that they were there on the premises at the time it happened, unless
it's just a cop out.
It is, well,
Let me say this, if you remember the camera that is still on, the lamppost opposite the entrance to Alford. That records every vehicle going in and every vehicle coming out. Huh? Now, I switched all those cameras on week last Thursday, right? I switched the system on. It's all live and it's all working to the computer system, to the screen.
Yeah.
The problem is the cameras, wherever they are, they're not recording because they're, the batteries are dead or whatever.
Yes.
And I think, we could quite comfortably, easily get those working again, because they're in good order in that sense.
You couldn't see them, it's because I don't understand the situation that used to happen, but I'm reasonably informed that the system we have just transmits everything to Carmarthen. It just transmits everything to the police headquarters in Carmarthen for video monitoring, and that's why probably you can't see the cameras here, because we should be looking at them because they're for going Paris Police, not us. But I'm not sure of the history of where CCTV came from. Was the town council responsible? Did it pay to put it in?
How was it they were ours, and then we passed them over to the police.
So because we passed them over, data protection, etc., will mean that we possibly won't be able to have access to them, because I think 3 times a year they come from Carmarthen to service and check that they're still working and still transmitting back to Carmarthen.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to say that years ago, there were about, I think, 5 or 6 of us who had to go away to Shrewsbury for training to look at CCTV cameras, to learn how to fill out logbooks, etc., prior to reporting anything to the police. We weren't allowed just to sit there, record everything and then take it to the police. You do have to be trained. And there are only 2 of us left now. That's Phil and myself.
We need to do some proper investigation. don't we?
Yeah. I think we need, we definitely need to look at the possibilities, what we can and can't do, what would be the most effective, and then, you know, come back here and take some sort of decision. But as things stand at the moment, I agree, it's not very satisfactory, and it doesn't seem to be serving us very well, so. Well, we'll leave it there for the moment, and so, where are we? We're on, is there, have we accepted those? No, good, okay, thank you. So vote in favour of acceptance?
Hands up.
Hands up.
Thank you, that's unanimous. So 9-2, finance and governance. That's appendix D.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes,
Over to me.
yes, thank you, Morag.
Sorry, so the minutes of the Finance and Governance Committee held on the 18th of June this year. I won't go through the chair and vice chair elections, we've already discussed those. And obviously we approved the minutes of staffing committee and previous finance committee. We authorised the payment of invoices in June. But we also authorised that the town clerk enter into a new photocopier lease with ABS, which would save us some money. So well done with that. And also authorised the town clerk to enter a new telephone lease with Convo, which would improve the system and save us money. And lastly, we authorised the town clerk to accept the quote from United Technologies in respect of additional licenses for councillor email addresses, and that will enable the town clerk to set us up with a proper council email address for use of business purposes at a very, very low cost.
I think he's going to tell us it's all done.
It will be done tomorrow, so
Yeah.
you approve it.
We approved the accounting statements for recommendation to full council. We approved the plan on how to get to an interim strategic plan. We approved a plan for it, which is recommended to you tonight, later in the agenda. There are a number of recommendations under the confidential section in relation to staff following the appraisal process that the town clerk had undertaken. And further recommendations in relation to the sales ledger and debtors, and that minute basically means we supported the town clerk and the team to carry out the appropriate enforcement action for those who owed the council on the basis that the council is not a charity. If there was money, then we should be trying to collect it, and they've been doing a very good job so far in trying to collect some outstanding debt. And lastly, the town clerk performance management framework, which was set allowed the staff appraisal policy, which was approved at the last framework. And apart from some typographical and numbering amendments being made, we recommended that is put to you tonight as well.
Thank you, Morag. Okay, unless anybody's got any points to raise, is there a proposal to accept those minutes? Thank you, Alison. Seconder. Thank you, Estelle. Those in favour?
Hands up.
Hands up.
Estelle? Abstaining, and Nick, you abstaining?
Sorry, I'm not on that committee.
Ah, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, so.
Moving on to finance, would this be a convenient point to mention the position with the RFO?
I can do, as you'll all be aware, the RFO will be leaving us, in a couple of weeks' time, and we are in the process of making alternative arrangements.
Yeah.
And I'd like to put on my thanks to her for settling me in as best as she possibly could, and it's a shame to see her go, but it's for her own personal reasons. I think that I've done to upset her, but well, I think we'll be sad to see her go. And hopefully you'll join me in thanking her. She did steer you through a particularly tricky few year and a half. So yeah.
Yes, she did. Yeah, yeah. We'll miss her. We'll miss her. I think we've only had one applicant so far, and they want to work remotely, which isn't suitable. So, but we're still trying.
Yeah, I propose a formal vote of thanks
Yeah.
to Vanessa.
Yeah.
For all the work that she's put in, for all the assistance that she's given us.
Yes, certainly. I'll second that. Okay. Thank you all. So moving on to Appendix F, the Council of Accounts. Yes, Sal?
Member online, so his hand up, I don't know who wants to ask some.
No, that's a member of it.
My cursor's over the doors.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, for Appendix F. Maureen, do you want to take us through this as well?
I don't have them in front of me, but obviously we've seen them. These were approved by the Finance and Governance Committee last week, and we're recommending that to council.
Any queries or observations? No? Okay, so we need a vote to accept those as they are, or is that just they're a matter of?
No, I think they're just noting.
They're just noting it, yeah. Same with the 10-2 payment of invoices.
We do need approval for that one.
Yeah, so that's an Appendix G. Anybody have any? Yeah, yes.
Just propose that we accept the payment of the invoices.
Seconded, okay. Those in favour, please?
Hands up.
Hands up.
Thank you all.
Yes, I'm just glad, Chair, that we're in the process of changing over the bank mandate to add me on. So and we've now done all the checks, but it's now in Lloyd's hands to do it. It may take some time. So I warn you in advance that the things will get slightly delayed until we can get back up and running again. So, but we're doing our best. Okay.
11, the accounting statement and annual governance statement for the year 25. Appendix H, it says pages 4, but I think I've got mine.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I sent this yesterday, and we only had it through yesterday. It looks like the 6-hour annual internal audit report. It was to follow. I have got some copies here. If you didn't get my email, I sent it through this afternoon. Well, not even.
Has everybody seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Which I've seen many audit reports in my life, and I was perfectly happy with this one. All the items on it, we are aware of and already making work has already been carried out to address those things. In relation to the petty cash, some of the, although the issue with petty cash is we do use some, instead of going to the bank to get money out, so we use that, which is more cost effective than putting money in and out. And obviously the use of the debit card will now address some of that and reduction in the amount of petty cash that we will keep. And I think in time we will be working to go as cashless as we can, but people still like to use cash. And
They do.
Yeah.
And certainly my view has always been that if we're trying to get money off people, I will take it however I can.
Yes.
But we are working towards the recommendations, so I'm very happy with the report, and well done, everybody.
Yeah.
And again, the audit committee will look at that in detail and the recommendations contained. There's only 4, which I believe is less than last year's, which was considerably more, so that's good. And in terms of the accounting statement, we've had some advice based on the question that you posed, Alison, in the meeting about the balances not adding up due to the rounding. They have suggested to us that we change box 7 on your form. Actually, what we've got on your form is correct, so 49995, exactly, except when you do add it up, it does total 4996. But the internal auditor said it was happy to put it as 4995 due to the rounding. We've looked at the guidance as well. Audit Wells will give us a £2 limit on rounding, so that's within the tolerances acceptable as well. The bit for you this evening is to go through the governance statement. I mean, it is a bit laborious, but it's probably best we do it line by line and you agree and tick, because it's your return. I can advise you as we go, but if we could do it line by line.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll go through that then.
Yeah, so it's appendix it's appendix I, and it's page 2 of 5. It's the bit that says annual governance statement at the top. It says, we acknowledge as members of the council our responsibility for ensuring that there is a sound system of internal control, including the preparation of the accounting statements. We confirm to the best of our knowledge and belief with respect to the accounting statement for the year ended 31st of March 2025 that item 1 is in consultation with the community, we have developed a vision and purpose for the council and used this vision to inform the council's plans, budget and activities. Am I thinking yes or no?
Well, I guess we are. We have done some consultation, but whether it meets the requirements of this, no, I don't know.
You have a vision and you've done some consultation, so.
Yeah, we can tick yes. Right, thank you.
It's a qualified yes, isn't it?
Yes, it'll be a better yes next year.
Mm.
Governance statements.
So item 2 is we've adopted a code of conduct for members and officers and implemented appropriate training plans for members to ensure all councillors understand their roles and responsibilities.
Yes.
Yes.
We have ensured that we electronically publish the information the council is required to publish by law on its website.
Yes.
We have taken all reasonable steps to ensure the council complies with all relevant laws and regulations when exercising its functions, including employment of staff and payment of allowances to members.
Yes. Yes.
We have adopted standing orders, financial regulations and terms of reference to ensure that these are followed when conducting business, including functions delegated to committees.
Yes.
We have put in place arrangements for effective financial management, including setting and monitoring the council's budget, maintenance and security of accurate and up-to-date accounting and financial records. And you have identified potential liabilities, commitments, events and transactions that may have financial impact on the council.
Yes.
We have maintained an adequate system of internal control and management of risk, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption, and assessment and management of risks facing the council.
Yes.
We have taken appropriate action on all matters raised in previous reports from internal and external audit. In terms of external audit, you're still waiting for 22-23, 23-24, and this is now 24-25. So we're still waiting for 2 reports from Auditor General.
With the internal audit, apart from one action. We have taken action, have not completed.
We have provided proper opportunity for the exercise of electors' rights. You have.
Yes.
I can tell you that one. And general power of competence that you have not resolved to adopt it. And at the moment you are eligible to do so. And that's it. There was 1 page missing from the accounting statement in terms of trust funds. So if you see on page 3, it says trust funds. The council acts as sole trustee for and is responsible for managing trust funds and assets. You are trustees for two trusts, British Lands and RU Safes. Am I putting yes, no, or not?
Yes.
Right, thank you. And that's it. So Chair will get this up to date, and then we need you to sign off. If the council needs to sign off tonight before the 30th of June, so tonight's meeting will be ideal. And then we dispatch the paperwork then before the 2nd of July. So I'll get you to sign it for the 2nd of July. Okay, to the auditor.
I propose that we sign it.
I second it.
Okay, those in favour?
Hands up.
Hands up.
No. Abstaining?
There's a reason I have to abstain, Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you. That's carried.
Okay, that's carried, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, item 12 is the interim strategic plan with Richard has prepared. That's appendix J.
This is the same report that went to the Finance and Governance Committee, which approved starting a consultation. I brought it to the full council because I feel like you should have just a say on when we go to the document. I'm happy to go through it and summarise. You will have a chance to read it unless you've got any questions. The committee had approved it.
Yeah.
Happy to answer anything.
Any questions from anyone? No.
So yeah, just to approve the items under section 7 of the report. So as to note the contents, to approve the launch of the consultation, to authorise me to consult with the mayor, deputy and chairs of committees to approve the documentation, to support the wider promotion of the consultation, and to ask officers to bring back the final draft of the report for approval by the council.
I move.
Yeah. Okay, those in favour?
Hands up.
Thanks. I think that's unanimous.
Yep, hands up.
Yeah, okay. Carried then, thanks. Okay, item 13 is outside bodies. Yeah, I've spoken to somebody from Newtown Council regarding this. They seem their experience of dealing with One Voice Wales, particularly with their legal section, is that they have been told, rightly or wrongly, that they can't be advised on the law pertaining to local government in Wales, but only as it applies in England. Now, considering this is an organisation calling itself One Voice Wales, one would assume that they're competent to advise members on the law in the country that we're actually in. My experience of them hasn't been quite what Newtown is saying. I've always found them to be pretty good, actually. Where the law is different in Wales to that in England, they've always pointed it out. So they've asked us to support this on the grounds that this is what they've been told. And if that is what they've been told, then I would want to support it. But I'm just saying it's not my experience of One Voice Wales. But does anybody have any view? Yes, Phil.
Well, Chairman, I'm a little bit concerned about this in the sense that do we really want to fight Newtown's battles? Would we ask them to fight our battle?
No, absolutely. Well, the thing is, if they're going to get a motion through that One Voice Wales should take steps to address what they're saying is a shortcoming, they need it to be seconded. It can't be seconded by an individual, it needs seconding by another council or community council. That's why they've asked us to do it. So, Alison.
Yes, I believe it was one specific and particularly complex issue. And they got so far and were not able to get any further. And that is why they'd like to bring it up. They have brought it up informally with One Voice Wales, but would like it to go to further so that it actually becomes a motion so that they can, One Voice Wales can take action on this.
Yeah.
It's that the advice is limited rather than it's poor.
Yeah, yes, yeah, okay.
I'll move it, Chairman.
Yes,
Yeah.
is there a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it. I think it's one of those things that if they're doing it, then it doesn't matter, but if they're not doing it, then they shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, that's my view.
And it would benefit
Yeah.
councils really in
Yeah.
more complex matters.
Okay, so in favour?
Hands up.
Hands up.
Okay, Sal?
Yeah, hand up.
Oh, sorry, keep missing you.
Miss me.
No, I don't know, just good. Okay, it's unanimous, thanks. Right, 13.2, right of way.
Chair, you're motoring tonight, well done.
Thank you. Looking to Rights of Way volunteer programme, this is the county council are launching some initiative to do with I guess the footpaths and bridleways, where they're trying to encourage volunteers to take a bigger part in maintenance and everything. Now, there are two things about this. One of them concerns me slightly. At the moment, that is the preserve of the county. It's their responsibility, it's their duty to maintain and regulate our footpaths. Here in Welshpool, we're at the confluence of 3, if not 4, national trails. There are a lot of footpaths in our area, and as those of us that walk them from time to time will know they're not in the best condition. Now, if this is an attempt by Paris to abdicate their responsibility for these paths and try to push it onto us, even with the help of willing volunteers, I'm a little bit dubious about it, but they want to discuss with us what their idea is, and maybe I've got it all wrong. And I think they would like some representatives from the council to meet with them to discuss it. Sorry, Nick, yes.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. To me, again, this is Powys County Council's duty. We pay council tax for the upkeep of this stuff. And I've no doubt that if they get this initiative running, they will pay a member of staff a substantial salary to coordinate this project. Whereas they should be doing it themselves. I mean, volunteers around the town, I know Bill, for example, is out all the time litter picking. I mean, there's a young lady that's going around cleaning verges, as we did when we had ground foresting a couple of years ago. All that stuff was the responsibility of Powys County Council, which they're not doing and which we pay our council tax for.
Yeah, I would say that I'm only expressing my suspicions, not necessarily what's motivating them. I think we have to listen to what their proposals are, but we need to be wary that we're not being asked to pick up something that they don't want the responsibility for, because it is their responsibility. Everybody's. I don't know what Alice. I'll go.
I think Bill was before me. So, right. They did this a few years ago, and my husband, a bit of persuasion, volunteered, and it was incredibly badly organised. It really was. It was really poor. It seems that, I mean, basically, their staff have got to get themselves organised so that it works properly. Then you can get the volunteers to work with them. We've been approached since then because they wanted to get it going. Again, that, things were arranged and it didn't happen. But the other side of that is that in Montgomery, they have an excellent footpaths group. They work really well. I believe Newtown do as well. And they're doing this, they're working with the council, but they are maintaining the footpaths, which is a huge advantage, a huge asset for the town. A lot of our footpaths have been blocked, including those blocked by Powys County Council themselves. So I would certainly support us meeting them, but I think that they need to also come up and do the job properly if they want volunteers to work with them.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Alison. Bill?
Yeah, I'm an eternal optimist, so it is my hope that the county are simply wanting more eyes and ears to report back on the state of paths, etc., and to work with them. As Alison has said, where it works well, it's brilliant. In other places, it's not really working at all, and there is a need for something. Shropshire is not has not in the past, he says carefully, been necessarily the best example of county council governance, but they have actually worked well with footpath groups and footpath representatives from local councils. And the advantage is that the things that Alice has been talking about to get reported and hopefully get acted on. I agree with you. We do have 4 long distance footpaths passing through our area. We have lots of other footpaths. We have all sorts of possibilities, and we have this needs doing something with. Let's get with that. Yeah, that, you know, it's, our footpaths could be a huge asset to the town, both in terms of local recreation and visitors. So it's certainly worth our while meeting with them. I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. I'm coming round actually 9 clockwise, so I'm coming round this way.
Hi, thank you, yes, I think
Sorry,
first-
Ben, that means you were last.
First thing to say, there is a massive backlog in footpath maintenance. There has been for donkey's years. As I understand it, the backlog is at the current rate of progress, it would take 30 years, so I'm told, to get around all the footpaths. And with the current levels of expenditure at Powys Council, frankly, that's not going to happen. So anything that we can do to get volunteer support to help with it will be good news. And there has been there was a project with Verandas Association last year, I think, which has done some work around Welshpool. If you go up through Ron and Batley Wood on the public footpath there's some very nice new gates put in up there and going on to Red Bank, which is most welcome. So as far as the major footpaths are concerned, Owen Glindler's Way, Offers Dyke footpath, Severn Valley Way, all of those are priorities. They are more likely to be dealt with from existing Powys Council funds. There's all the small minor ones that won't get done.
Yeah.
And I have got some good news on the footpath, which I know Alison's concerned about, going from Oldford Estate into Powys Estate, where it's now looking we're going to get that one sorted at last. It will be fantastic news. But I think if we can get volunteers involved with it, that would be great. But as Alison says, it does have to be well organised.
Yeah, there was a lovely footpath that used to run really from the Flash up through Caulfield's farm, up through the woods there. But have you ever tried to go through it recently? It's very overgrown.
It is very overgrown, but we do it.
Yeah. So I'm coming this way now, so if Phil, have you got anything, and then I'll come right this down.
I can remember about 6, 7, 8 years ago taking part in a volunteer group at Buckley Woods. And it was great. And then it all sort of fizzled out. It just seemed to die a death.
Yeah. But the work that you did there, it went well, successful, would you say?
Yes, it was, but then people started to drop out and it just died.
I think that's always the problem with volunteer groups, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It starts off full of enthusiasm,
Yeah.
and wanes.
And then it's staff having to pay.
Yeah.
Staff.
Sad.
I was just going to support what Alison said. I think we need to hold a meeting and voice our concerns. But definitely just to hold a meeting, so exactly what you said, Alison, get a meeting together and see where we go from that.
Okay, thanks, Sal.
See how we go.
Yeah, anything? No, Ben?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So 3 quick points, and I fully agree with what Nick said. This is on Powys in financial terms, but I also appreciate, as an avid walker, I recently walked from Middletown to Welshpool, and almost all of them were blocked.
Yes.
I had to cross main roads several times, and I had a visiting old friends from Ireland who said, "Oh, don't worry, it's only as bad as Ireland," which was really interesting because their footpaths are absolutely terrible. So I'd like to see this, and my first point is simply, I fully agree that this is on Powys to fund.
Yeah.
Most importantly, to fund.
Yeah.
But secondly, I do see this as an avid walker as an opportunity for us to get some good press, with or without Powys. But I would prefer it to be a collaborative model. If Powys can afford to fund the basics and spades and some time for their staff to literally write down what's wrong, where it's wrong, then that's a brilliant way to start something off. Thirdly, and almost as importantly, really, I'm a subscriber to the ONS maps, and they have just this month introduced where you can a system on their app where you can place an obstacle. So you can go on the map and you can say, a farmer's blocked the
Yes.
path here, and here, and here, and here. And I've already done several.
Good, well,
Yeah.
we use
OS.
OS maps as well, I haven't noticed that feature yet.
Yeah.
I will look out for it.
So I'd also like to suggest that when we do go to this meeting, we also put a call out, because there's another innovative way to do this that we well, Natural Resources Wales, I've talked to them in my sort of work role about something they're doing, and there are also enthusiasts in Welshpool, I know, because I know at least
Yeah.
2 of them who use drones.
Mhm.
Now, drones are currently being used to observe where rivers might flood and things like that, as well as certain sensors. We could call on the drone and photography community, which there's, you know, a number in town. Well, there you go. Who could, and you have permission on public footpaths to film above a certain height, and so long as there aren't too many people there, you can film them, and you're, as a drone pilot, you are much more efficient at going long distances along those footpaths to look for obstacles. So if we were to use innovative methods, ask for funding from POIS for the basics in collaboration, it could be good press for us. And I'd encourage us to do all those 3.
Yeah, okay, thanks, I agree with all that Ben said.
Could I, picking up on Ben's point, there is something on the Paris website where you can report a blocked footpath. I did report a blocked footpath and it remained blocked for several weeks. So the next time, instead of doing it on that system, I phoned them up and it's been sorted out. So it is worth doing it. And I think what you're suggesting about picking them up on drones, we could probably clear quite a few quite quickly. What you do when there's a house in the middle of it, I don't know.
Okay, that's great. So I think we're agreed that we want to speak to
Yeah.
them. I don't know where I got it, this came from the papers or where, but I had it in my mind that we can have two representatives.
So this came as an email, and then so it came to all of our localities. So Trinleo, it's Welshpool and Llanfyllin. So and then they said, could you offer the town hall as the central locations? That's fine. Fine offering the town hall at all. So they said up to 2 representatives to talk to them, and from each council. I think they don't want to be overloaded by 50 people.
I think Bill, who's very keen walker, I spoke to me about it, and I know he's keen to be on that. I think he would be very good to be on that as well, because he knows most of the footballers. I wouldn't mind being on it, but if anybody else wants to do it, I'm more than happy.
I don't mind. I don't mind. I'm happy to go if nobody else wants to.
Is it worth, it's a subject that a number of us are interested in.
Yes.
Would it be worth us appointing 2 people, but then maybe feeding back to a larger?
Yes.
There's no for them to go and listen and report back.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
at the next
I
meeting,
mean, we
they'll
might
report
want
back
to
on
set up a little working party to talk about.
Yeah.
it. Sounds good.
Yes, Phil?
Well, I think it's ideal if the mayor and the deputy mayor are the people who go and negotiate this and come back to us with the report.
Happy to do
I'll do that.
report
I'd like
back.
to take Ben's idea.
Yeah,
And I would have come with, but I've actually got a meeting with Transport for Wales on that night, which I mean in Cardiff, so I can't. So
well, if council are happy for councillor Brown and myself to meet with them, anything that you want to specifically put to them, just let us know, and then we will report back to you on
Well, I'll
the
move that,
meeting.
Chairman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So Phil's proposing and Nick seconded it or so. And yeah, so it.
Hands up.
Yes, okay, good.
Hands up.
Thank you all. Right, so, okay, 13.3 is the Red Bank traffic. Graham, do you want to say anything else about this before we launch into it?
Thank you, Chair. It's only just to keep people in the picture. I've been inundated for several years about the situation on Red Bank and dangers to pedestrians in particular. Two issues, clearly the speeding motorists and the heavy goods vehicles which are using it. 12 months ago, Powys agreed to put up signs warning heavy goods vehicles not to use the road, that it wasn't suitable. Of course, they're not enforceable, they're just warnings, they're being totally ignored. We've had the serious incident with the car crash into the garden, numerous incidents of people losing parts of their vehicles on the bank, and an increase, I would say, in heavy goods vehicles rather than a decrease. So I asked Powys County Council Highways team for a meeting. We've mentioned myself, Richard and Carol have regular meetings with Jim Baines. He's very keen on something happening. They attended the meeting as well, as did Richard and Carol as county councillors, and the Llanaffiddle ward councillors were invited to meet up as well. What happened was a sharing of ideas. We were throwing ideas into the mix of what the options were. Unfortunately, every option that was put in, there was always a reason why that possibly wasn't suitable or workable. I do know that since then, in fact, today, the police have carried out a safety session there this morning where they've been carrying out speed checks, and Jim Baines took it upon himself to do it along with Sally. So that's happened this morning. I don't know what the outcome of that has been, but the police say that they cannot carry out speed checks, official checks, and the booking of people on this section because it's too dangerous. There's nowhere for them to stop. There's nowhere for them to pull in people. Their own staff are under threat because there's nowhere for them to go. So they, although the local police are very supportive, even the speed camera, the guns, and the vans say that it's not a suitable place for them to be. So that's a non-starter. So there were many things thrown in, including a speed sign, the flashing sign telling you what speed you were doing. There were fors and against that. Powys Highways team thought that was okay for visitors, but the local people would soon realise that it doesn't make any difference and carry on speeding. So there were all kinds of things. I don't know, Richard, whether I missed anything.
What about the proposal to make it one way? How did that go down?
There were discussions about that, but of course there were reasons why that wouldn't work. There was a feeling if you made it one way, it would send all the traffic down Brookfield Road and down over Green Bank, and there's no suitable junction at the bottom of over Green Bank for getting out onto South Road. So that was virtually a no-no, I think. There was quite a suggestion that we see quite a bit of support to actually stop the road, stop access from the Gillsfield direction. So that after the two junctions with, I don't know what those lanes are called going up, that you wouldn't be allowed to come any further than that if you were coming from Gillsfield. And that seemed to have quite a bit of support.
Phil and then Nick.
I can see that would have a bit of support, but at the end of the day, if you've got an idiot driver, no matter whether he comes from Welshpool or Gillsfield, it's still gonna happen. Alright, so if you block the road off from Gillsfield, it could still happen one way or the other. I actually had a look at it, and when I saw the bus coming up Church Bank, the local bus, up Church Bank and up Red Bank, I was left feeling that's the answer. Make it one way from the church steps, if you like, from the entrance to the road there, up to Brookfield Road. That might be the answer, but you know, I was grateful. I could just imagine what that meeting was like, because everything you think of, there's an alternative reason why you shouldn't do that sort of thing. Yeah. But I was left thinking, well, the only answer to it is to put it one way from the church steps up to Brookfield Road.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Nick and then Sally.
What about, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it
Chicane?
Yeah, like they got at the bottom of Donbrook Hill.
where that would stop HGVs, definitely. I don't know about altering the bus route, but it would also act as a traffic calming measure as well. If you had one at the bottom of the, when you come up, to, Windmill Lane, where you come off the Gillsfield Road, if there was one there or a little bit further up, and possibly another one halfway down Red Bank, that would act as a traffic calming measure as well as stopping heavy goods vehicles.
It was suggested.
Was it? Dan,
Yeah, we were told that 60 miles an hour until we hit the 13, which is over the brow of the hill, coming from Gillsfield Road. So we can't put them there.
Can't they change the speed limit?
And we can't put them on the the Red Bank section because it's too steep.
It's always these excuses to do, not
Always.
Yeah, Sally and then.
These speed bumps, were they discussed?
Yeah.
they won't stop the lorries though, so
Same reasons we're given for.
What we know, and having seen the video of that car coming up the hill, leaving the road and ending up in somebody's garden.
No, Dan was coming down.
Oh, I thought it was coming up,
No,
right, thank you. But to my mind, I think the one thing that would work, but it won't be something the police, I don't think, can do or we can do. But as we all know, for those of us who may have ever received a letter through the post saying you've been caught in a speed trap, they don't have to stop you on the side of the road. They just have to get you exceeding the speed limit and you fined. And I think if they actually put in the mechanism to be able to do that on that road, you wouldn't have to spend long, the message would get out that it is a very costly route because there are cars that are driving very badly. Lorries are a pain there, but so are the cars, and so is the rat run going through the estate as well.
Do you mean a speed camera?
Well, I think they are a speed camera, but they're a speed camera that records it, and then that goes off to Carmarthen.
Yeah.
And then you get the letter. Now, I don't know whether they can only do those on trunk roads. That's the point.
Do anyway.
Well, in that case, I would have thought that was the answer, because we need to get people being fined. And I would say the same thing. They use it at night. Well, not just night, but as a racetrack around here. We've had these conversations before. People say, boys, and they're not boys.
Boy racers, you mean?
Yeah, they say they're not boy racers. They're not all boys. Many are men who should know.
Or girls.
Yes, but men, we need to stop it, and I think it is fines that stop that.
It would be the first speed camera in our area, which won't be welcomed.
Well, I think something needs to happen there.
Yeah,
Yes. It's speed cameras that drop it through your letterbox and you've got to pay the fine.
Morag and then Bill, I think.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I was at the meeting with the council and it was frustrating because everything they suggested, you could see actually, there's no evidence that will solve the problem. It's just might just move it somewhere else where it's even worse, like Bottom Bolver Green.
Yeah.
Because if I live up there, so I use those routes frequently, and that's worse than coming down Red Bank. My issue was that I did say in the meeting that did they not think they're trying using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut? As in, can we not try some relatively inexpensive measures to see if we can calm traffic before we start making major decisions? Because if I come out of the Brookfield Road roundabout, which is a flat roundabout, and lots of people don't even take any notice. So there is a possibility of putting something more substantial in that, so that automatically slows people down after they've come from the Gillsfield turning, and they've got to slow down to go down the hill there. But there are no signs as I turn that corner, there are no signs to say what the speed limit is going down the hill. There are no signs to say that the road is going to narrow at the bottom of the hill, which is a big issue. There are no signs then, and you just hit it. And having lost my wing mirrors on 2 occasions, not my fault either, from people cutting that corner when they come down. It is, and the thing is, when you're driving down it, because it's a high gradient, the speed takes you, you've got to be very vigilant on how fast you're going. And not everybody is very vigilant. But you do have to be careful. So it does generate speed going down the hill. Clearly with the lorries, how we can prevent them from going is another issue. So the sign at the moment where it says not suitable for lorries is actually by what is now Gillsfield Road Garage, used to be the scrapyard.
Yeah.
Which is quite a long way. And talking to someone today who again uses that road very, very they're a taxi rider. They were saying it needs to be a bit nearer the junction. Of course, people are saying, oh yeah, but we can't put it nearer the junction. And even with as Alison says, I would put speed camera signs up even if we don't have any, because it does deter people. But why can't we have an automated speed camera that does monitor people coming and find them?
Yeah.
Bill. Thanks, Maureen.
Red Bank is part of my regular litter picking walk, and I have to say this is the most dangerous part of the walk by some distance, especially at the bottom where the road is so narrow and the footpaths are narrow. Yes, I do pick up a lot of wing mirrors as I go along. I think looking at it, I mean, obviously you can't do traffic calming on that first very steep bit, but where the road flattens out a bit at the croft, you've got an area there where you could actually put something of the nature of a chicane with speed bumps and slow everything down. And certainly there should be signage there, as Maura has said. I think that closing the road, wouldn't solve the problem. I think, I may be wrong in thinking this, but I think the vehicle that caused that flew off the road and did the damage had actually started its journey in Welshpool and not from anywhere else. So it wouldn't have stopped that happening, you see. I think we don't want to rush into huge things that would be grossly unpopular with a wide number of people. But I think there are things that could be done on the safer bits of that road that would slow things down. And I think that is the point. You need to slow people down on the safer bits of the road, because then they're already slow when they go into the more dangerous parts.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Phil and then Dave.
Only a quick one. I like Nick's idea actually of the zigzags coming off the Gillsfield Road, just at the entrance, if you like, from the Gillsfield Road up Red Bank, up over the top of Red Bank from there. If they put the zigzags there, the lorries wouldn't come up there. Right? And quite honestly, I think that just one there would make a hell of a difference. You wouldn't have the lorries there.
It wouldn't affect the town bus coming up then either.
No, exactly. When you were saying it, that's what went to my head.
Need to deliver.
Thanks, Phil. Dave France.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it seems quite obvious to me that we would want to try more moderate traffic calming measures, speed camera, before we move on to more drastic measures like a one-way system or blocking off part of the road between here and Gillsfield. There seems certainly to be a mandate to try those gentler approaches. I do feel that more consultation would be required before engaging in anything more drastic. I do wonder, my question is, what step needs to be taken? You know, are the county council waiting on us, or indeed our county councillors, or maybe specifically Graham, to say, try this, just try this and see if it works, see if this step, whatever the step might be, has an impact. Because I do think, getting the ball rolling and then making an assessment as to whether that step has had an impact is important.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. My question, as we wind up discussion on this, was going to be to Graham, just to say where has it been left now? What's the next step?
Well, it was left up in the air, really.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't big question, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it was kind of left for me to say, put it in front of you and see what we wanted to do next. I got the impression from the county council that they were looking for us to take the lead on anything, and hence, if it was unpopular, we'd take the rap, but if it was successful, we'd take the credit. And I think they would need some consultation to do the next steps. But I don't know where we got to with like trying the smaller ones. I was going to put together some costings for electronic speed monitoring signs. I can tell you now they're eye-wateringly expensive. But in terms of what we do next, it's up to you guys. But they were very much along the lines of you need to get residents' views on this.
So can I ask Graham, what in particular would you want from us tonight?
Well, I think the view that I'm hearing is probably the one that is my own as well, is that we ask for some improvements to take place as a first stab in terms of signage, the slowing down a vehicle, and whatever actions are allowed to be taken in line with chicanes and speed bumps. Phil made the suggestion, but that was, we had that discussion with Tony Kane and Chris Lloyd, and we're told it's a 60-mile-an-hour speed zone. We cannot touch chicanes or speed bumps on a 60-mile speed limit.
It's by a school. Oh, no, it's not, is it?
It's 60 to the top of the bank.
Yeah,
and then it
sorry.
drops.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have 20 like, the idiot could put it. Everybody else has it, so.
So I'd be happy to suggest that to Powys, and if the town council is on mind to send a similar letter of expressing the council's concerns about the situation, and that recommendation is as a stepping stone, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Welsh, my name,
This man over here.
whichever, Richard or Bill, whichever of you is.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just gonna ask the town clerk if he can to report the suggestions so far. I wanted to thank Graham for the minutes, and I'd like to back Morag's point on point 13 of the improvement of the mini roundabout, because I genuinely think having some concrete there that will, scratch or stop people flying over that roundabout. Yeah, so if we can have them repeated, then we would agree.
I think my assessment of the meeting actually was everything we said. There was an after, wasn't there, which is frustrating, but that's so some of the suggestions were closing the entire length of the road to HGV.
Oh, sorry, Clark. I meant what we've said tonight.
Oh, okay. What was it like? So the signage, so the HGV signage, closing the road for vehicles at the top of Windmill Lane, as we mentioned tonight, making it one way, but haven't discussed which way.
We're going off.
Chicanes and traffic calming and speed calming measures, more signage, electronic speed monitoring systems, mini roundabouts, and I think that's it.
So, Chair, one of the things I also suggested, one of the issues is the steps, which keep getting bashed into.
Yes.
And one of my suggestions was simply put road markings next to the steps, the yellow no entry road markings, to stop people actually stopping there as they're waiting to go down the hill. Because the amount of room you have when you're going up the hill, then particularly with pedestrians walking alongside, it is very, very dicey.
Thanks, Morag. Bill, Richard, and then Sally, and then if we may have some sort of resolution, if we're going to have one.
Travellers along the road there will have noticed that there is now a 40 limit through the crossroads at Grossfluid outside Hardings. There were a number of different junctions there, and that makes sense. I would have thought a similar 40 limit as you approach the junction into Red Bank, and including the junction down to the Dingle. When you turn into Red Bank, you've immediately got Windmill Lane going off. It's a tricky junction. if you had a 40 limit there, then that might well mean you could then put some sort of chicane or something along the lines of what Nick and Phil were saying onto the first part of Red Bank, and that would have an immediate impact, I would think.
Richard?
Yeah, I'm happy for the town clerk to put all of those ideas into a letter and in consultation with Graham, although I don't think we're supporting a one-way system at this stage, because we pointed out the problems it could cause in Bournemouth Green. Just one other point I wanted to make, and that is that this problem is going to get worse, because there is housing development proposed on both sides of Windmill Lane, which is in the local plan. It will happen sooner or later. There's also a huge amount of development proposed. Whether it will happen or not remains to be seen in Gillsfield. Gillsfield is taking a big increase in population, which is just going to put more traffic on Red Bank. And in relation to, I just think that our planning committee, when we are consulted on planning applications such as on the former Burgess Lands site, that we ask that the planning committee considers this as an issue when they debate them, and considers the impact of those developments on Red Bank, and make sure that they make the county council aware of them when those applications come forward, which they will, and probably quite soon.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, as far as Ardwin school.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. Kenneth?
I was just going to suggest, as we've got some ideas about this, can we not put it to a poll on Facebook, like a public poll? Because I'm sure there is plenty of people that will be quite happy to put their points forward on this. So if you did like a Facebook poll on this, what would you do? What would you like to see happen? Surely that would weigh things up a bit. I don't know. Would that work?
Yeah, I'm not sure about. Oh, I mean, we could invite suggestions.
Speed bumps, chicanes,
Yeah.
traffic lights, all that sort of stuff. You put those things up, see what gets you the best outcome. I don't know. Because
It does tend to attract the wrong type of comments, isn't it?
Yeah, but it needs discussing, Brandon, doesn't it? Because it's been like that for years
Yeah.
now, and something dreadful is going to happen if we don't do anything about it. So ask the public and see what they think. You know, we've come up with some great ideas tonight, so put it as a poll and see what they have to say about it, and then Paris will have to listen. And because it is a dangerous road in Welshpool, so put it to a poll. I don't know, it's just an idea.
Okay, thanks, Sal. We might come back to that. Dave, you've got your hand up. Dave
Yes,
Clark.
just quickly, if we are compiling this list, I do feel it would be useful to separate it into two sections. One, these kind of more moderate, lower impact suggestions along the lines of, you know, traffic calming and signage, and you know, leave more drastic measures like blocking off parts of the road as maybe stage 2 if stage 1 hasn't worked. Because even without a poll, I think yes, like I've said, taking a more drastic step first might prove to be less popular, unless we can prove through, you know, example that the less drastic steps have not worked.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Alison?
Just very quickly, in the letter that goes to Paris, I think that one of the challenges we often have when discussing highways in Welshpool is that we keep coming across reasons why you can't. And what we need is to say, this is a problem which we would like you to solve. Here are some of our suggestions, but the problem needs solving. The reality is it's not up to us as a town council to solve it. We're trying to be forthcoming and cooperative. We do not need reasons why we can't. We need it solved.
Yeah, agree. So has anybody got a proposal for how we go forward with this, or? Yeah.
As the town clerk has already given us back what we have suggested in smaller measures, not including making it one way or closing the road, can I propose that the town clerk puts that into a letter to all the appropriate bodies, so not just Graham and not just the Powys, but actually the police crime commissioner. And we support that as a council and support those initial, as Dave called them, Councillor France called them, phase one movements to slow traffic as much as possible.
Yeah, that's
I'll second
an
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Who seconding that? Okay, so those in favour?
Hands up.
Hands up.
Good, that's unanimous. Thanks all. Okay, thank you. Claire. Thanks very much.
That's for your support.
Item 13.4 is outside bodies. Has anybody been on any meetings of outside bodies lately they want to report on? I haven't.
I've just got one. Okay, sorry, there's no else on the agenda for this, but it came today. So
Thanks, Graham.
Ben sent me a link a while ago. It was for a fund that Visa and the British Retail Consortium were sponsoring about let's celebrating our towns. And I entered it. I wrote something very quickly and entered it because it's really close to the deadline. And we've been shortlisted. So we have been shortlisted in the category of connectivity, and I put a project together there talking about how we can improve some of our tourism infrastructure in the town centre, using digital signage and things like that. And we've been shortlisted as one of the towns that is going forward to be judged. A panel of expert judges will now decide on the winners. We are against towns such as Falkirk, Bassett Law, Morecambe, Lichfield, Watford, Godalming and Havecock is the ones in our category. Shrewsbury's also been shortlisted in one of them called Powering Change, and Fishguard is in another one, but I'm pretty sure that it's just us and Fishguard as the two Welsh ones. We appear in the press release as towns right across the UK, including Welshpool in Wales. So we're in mentioned. A winner gets £20,000 to fund the initiative. And the winners will be announced in the House of Lords on the 16th of July. So we have been invited to the House of Lords on the 16th of July. We only get one spot to go. So it's decide who's going. I literally had this afternoon through my email. I wasn't not expecting to be shortlisted at all, but there we are.
I suppose it's either you or Ben then. Yeah, you're the two who've done it.
But, it's on the 16th of July, which is also Finance and Governance Committee. So it's that. It's in the evening at 6:30 until 9.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happens with like hotel arrangements and all sorts of stuff, but it's up to you to decide who goes to the awards ceremony. If we go, the mayor or me or Ben.
It's gotta be you as town clerk that's going to come back to us.
Come up with the idea. Yeah.
I move.
Yeah, second, let's go. Richard's going. Yeah, Richard's going.
There you go.
Like, just one thing, Richard.
Yeah.
If you could drive half the way back, it'd be a lot cheaper for your night out sort of thing.
I'll discuss logistics with the mayor then of how I get there and whatnot, but okay, yeah, that's fine. It's a great achievement, fair play to us to be in shortlisted.
You could fly him down, Mr. Mayor.
I have flight and control days.
Who seconded that? Sorry, got Phil.
We all second it. We all went.
I can't write that in a minute.
You're gonna put me down in second.
Yes. Sorry.
Could I ask that our MP knows about this as well, please,
Yes.
so that he's geared up.
We'll do a press release saying that we've been shortlisted.
Okay. Well, excellent. Have we done that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. We're now moving into the non-public session, closed session.